Hi, I'm Ross Gilfillan. Welcome to Global Franchise Meets. In this series, we talk to the leaders and the experts of international franchising. Today, we meet Brad Sugars of ActionCOACH.
Hi, I'm Brad Sugars, and I'm the chairman and founder at ActionCOACH. ActionCOACH has been in the top 100 franchises in the world now for going to be more than 10 years. Now in 74 countries, thousands of franchises, and I've coached and worked with many other franchises as well, as owning several others across from cleaning franchises to lots of licenses as well, many different companies in that sector. I think I started in franchising with, which was the first company? Probably Superior Quilt Company. That was back in 1994 or 5, cleaning quilts and things. And then Trophy Dog Food, which was, again, in the late 90s. And ActionCOACH, we started franchising. I think with ActionCOACH, I turned to franchising because when it was at a time when white-collar franchising really didn't exist, maybe ERA and maybe H&R Block. I think they were the only two around, but I used it because of a simple thing. I wanted high-level ownership. I wanted high-level people, and it was easier to get high-level people that wanted to have their own business than it was to get them as employees. So I think franchising was work for us now that we're in 70-something countries around the world. You know, franchising's been great. Franchising is tough in some areas in that, you're not in the business of the business, you're in the business of franchising. So like you think you're going into the coffee business, but you're actually in the business of franchising. So, recruiting franchisees, training franchisees, supporting franchisees, stretching their growth. You've got to learn the business of franchising if you want to succeed in franchising. I think that's why it's been successful for us, is that we view ourselves as franchisors, not business coaches. Business coaching is the business we've franchised, but being a great franchisor is the key skill you've got to learn to be successful at it. Look, the industry of franchising is always going to be very bright for several very important reasons. Number one, companies are going to build great models of businesses and not really have the capital or the level of employees to go out and do it. So they're going to always look for people that have capital and skill base to open up markets that they're not in. I think the second reason is that there's always going to be people that want to build a business, but they want to get off to a quick start. Rather than have to develop the entire business themselves, they would prefer to go and find a proven model and go and execute rather than build the model. I think the third reason franchising is always going to be around is that every single business that I come across has an ability to scale, but they don't see how to scale. And franchising is one of those models that is just such a great scale model that allows a business to grow fast and reach international boundaries and just do things that they couldn't do on their own. I would be an entrepreneur in some entrepreneurial venture. I'm always buying companies or building or starting companies. Literally, I was negotiating this morning with a hairdressing chain. I'm not sure. It would be something very entrepreneurial for sure, and it would probably involve some form of licensing or franchising as well. I think when you're building a master franchise or investing in a master franchise, you're finding a proven model and bringing it to your marketplace. And so when you talk about bringing a model to your market, there's plenty of times when I've traveled overseas and looked at certain businesses and thought, geez, that would go great in America, or that would go great in Australia. Or, there's different businesses where you look at them and you think, gee, I need to bring that to my country. And I think that's a big part of success of master franchise, when you find something that you really think will work in your marketplace and bringing it to your marketplace. Probably the biggest and most important thing to understand in master franchise world is that when you're a master franchise business, you can have multiple. You eventually end up with multiple different franchise groups under your umbrella. And that to me is a very important aspect of being in the master franchise business, not just in one master franchise. Simple advice if you're starting a master franchise for the first time: learn how to sell franchises and learn how to support franchisees. The sale of a franchise is not really different in sales to anything else, but it does have a velocity component to it. It does have very much a trusted advisor component to it. You're asking people to change their life. They're not just buying a franchise, they're actually investing in something that will change what they're doing, especially if they're single unit franchises. Now, multi-unit is probably the other thing I'd get you to learn, how to actually have investors come in and take multi-unit component. And then the side of support, you got to remember that your franchisees for the first year, 2, 3 years are going to need serious levels of support. And either you are capable of giving it to them, or you employ people capable of giving it to them, or you recruit someone like us at ActionCOACH that actually gives them that level of support to get them successful. Because a lot of people going into franchising, it's their first ever business. So they're not only learning your business, they're learning how to be a business person as well. Yeah, first-time master franchisee has got to, the biggest challenge is you've got to now start from scratch at building a network and building a group of people. Getting in line with the franchise brokers or business brokers in your marketplace will help you and assist you in selling that. Learning the market of where to advertise and where to do your promotions is going to be the next phase of all of these things. What business expos to be at, what not to be at. Those are some of the things you're going to have to learn in the beginning, because marketing is always the first phase of any business. Then sales is the second phase of that business, and then support the third phase. So I would say, as a first timer, learn the marketing first, learn the sales second, and then learn the support side of the business. Now, if you're joining a good franchise group, they will have systems to assist you as being a master franchise, because buying a master franchise is almost no different to buying a franchise. There should be systems and support for you that help you build that business as well. Look, I hate to say it this way, but a first-time master franchisee can turn to their franchisor, but they can also turn to the IFA or any franchise group, the BFA, as a learning centre, or they can turn to us at ActionCOACH. We love coaching anyone, whether they're a franchisor, master franchisor, or just a normal business out there in the marketplace. Look, I think the simplest piece of advice for someone looking to become a master franchisee is it's generally going to be a great investment. Look at how many you have to sell to get an ROI. Look at what your return is on an ongoing basis. Look at how long the master franchise contract is going to be in place. But ultimately, your aim is to build a good network of franchisees who are then out there building good royalty for you and the franchisor as well. Well, any brand in franchising that's looking to expand overseas, the first thing you have to do is get on a plane. Go and see the market. Go and visit the business expos there. Visit the franchise association there. Go and visit a couple of other franchisors in that marketplace in non-competing industries to yourself. Too many try and go international without having been to that marketplace and just even seen what's going on there. Go and talk to some journalists in your field, or go and find the magazine in your field and go and don't be interviewed by them. Interview them. Ask them what's going on. Do that research. It's not hard to go and spend a couple of weeks in a marketplace, learn the marketplace and understand what's going on. Now, add to that, you should be building your brand with, social media today allows multiple brand awareness into many countries. So start looking at any country you want to go into with your social media and see what your presence is in that market. And if you don't have a presence there, start building your presence into that marketplace and start, basically advertising into that market and helping join and build your media presence into that market, so that when someone does come to an expo and see you, they say, oh, I've seen something of yours online type thing. You want to make sure that's happening. I think the average person in the market doesn't really understand franchising. I think that the average person needs to be educated in it. It's like, let's go back to the basics. Someone going to buy a franchise has probably never even bought a business before. So they've got to learn how to buy a business. Then they've got to learn how to buy a franchise. Then they've got to learn your industry. Then they've got to learn you. So there's four major components to any franchise purchase in the majority of cases. Now, sometimes people have owned their own business before, so they understand that. Sometimes they've owned a franchise before or been a part of a franchise before, so they understand it. Most people see franchising and they think McDonald's or Subway or maybe even a hotel chain or a car group, but they don't really see franchising with the breadth and depth of types of industries that are involved in it today. Well, I think the franchising model achieves five main things. Number one is it brings in people with capital. So it has to do that. They have to bring capital to the table to be able to, working capital is important. The second thing is they've got to bring skills to the table. There's a level of skills that must be brought to the table for anyone to be awarded a franchise. The third is they join a team of people that are willing to support them and help them grow. A franchise group, if the other franchisees in the group aren't willing to help and support you, then don't join that franchise. You've got to be joining a group where they're willing to support you and they don't see you as competitive to them. I think the fourth thing is that it has a systematic approach to that business, and it's a system for marketing. There should be a system for marketing, a system for sales, a system for delivery, and a system for management of that business. And I think fifth, it's kind of an esoteric one, but the one thing that franchising does is it gives people a level of confidence that they wouldn't have if they went out on their own. The training, the support, the team, the system, all of these things. When in any business, just feeling like you're going to succeed is a very important part of the success of the business. If you walk in on day one and you're there on your lonesome, it's very tough. And it's why ActionCOACH exists, in fact, because business ownership is one of the loneliest jobs in the world. Being part of a group that helps you feel like you're going to succeed is very important. So I think that fifth one is a vital one, that just the confidence factor helps people. I think with franchising, there's several main challenges. Number one is over-regulation. It's got to a point where, particularly here in the US, you're regulated to within an nth degree that means that people get scared off from joining the franchise. They see a 500-page legal document and think, what am I signing? It's just gotten to a bit of an over-regulation in certain markets around the world. I think lack of capital is probably the second one. Markets around the world, there's been a pullback on lending capital for business ownership, and that's one of the challenges that's consistent. But it's also a big opportunity for companies like ours that solve that side of capital and are able to lend money to the franchisees. Then that's a very important part of it. When you partner with a bank who can lend the money to someone, I think that's a very important part of the success. Well, I think finally it's that everyone in the industry has a slightly different desire for where it should go. The franchisors, franchisees, master franchisees, each of them has a slightly different desire as to where it can go. Any and every industry has great leading bodies, and with the BFA, the IFA, and all of the franchise associations around the world, they're doing the best they can to keep this industry moving in a great direction. And I think that supporting them is probably the big thing. There's too many franchisors who don't become a part of the associations, and therefore, they don't get the support they need. So probably just support your local franchise association a little more and keep in touch with it and make sure you keep learning and growing is probably the key to making that one go away.